Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Pythonic Accountant. In the previous one, we used ChatGPT to write Python code using AI to download and extract text from a PDF file online. We got it working, which is very cool. But now we're going to try to take the next step and use it to write some Python code to convert this into a data frame. I've been trying for a little bit with not a lot of success. Got a few videos that I tried to record and had to kind of scrap them. So, not that I don't mind sharing the failure piece of it. So you may see some of that in this one, but wanted to at least figure out kind of where I want to land and come up with the right strategy, which I think I have to walk it through it a little bit and not just ask it to figure everything out on its own. But still, I think that's pretty cool where we've got so far, getting the data downloaded. And I think it'll at least be able to help with some of the regular expressions within this. So let's ask it to write some code to identify, let's do a step-by-step. Let's have it identify the line items that represent a new vendor number and vendor name. So let's say I've got text in a variable text that includes lines I'd like to capture. They are the ones with 3 digits followed by a vendor name. Please write regex to capture them, those lines. Here's the data in the text variable. And so let's just grab all this to allow it to actually write the correct Python code to give us what we need. So we'll kind of step it through, but I think that's okay. It's explaining the regex. That's pretty funny. Okay. Perfect. So let's test this and see if it captures what we want. Capture. Boom, boom. Not perfect. Okay, so it's giving us more than what we want. Let's have it clean that up. So this is good, but it's capturing a few lines I don't want. And let's give it the lines I don't want and see if it can fix it. So it's going to add more conditions. That's good. Oh no, that's a little too specific. That's pretty funny. Yes, okay. I only want 3 digits followed by a space. I feel like that'll actually capture it. So I'm actually going to ask that. Can't this work if we take out the and just match using exactly 3 digits followed by a space? Let's see what it says. It's like, oh yeah, I guess you could. Okay, perfect. So once it rewrites it, let's try that and see if it works. But this is pretty crazy. We're just like having a conversation with this AI chatbot. It's writing code, and let's see if this works. Okay, redo that. Oh shit, yes. Oh, this is so good. So perfect. So we got the first part. Now let's do the next part. So we want to capture the line items that have, I believe the ones we want all have they don't all have an invoice number, but they do all have 2 sets of dollar amounts. So I think, and they have 2 sets of dates. So I think we want the ones that have at least the 2 sets of dates and the $2 amount. So we're going to have to be specific about that when we specify it. Say, okay, now I want I want regex that will capture specific lines of detail. The lines I'm interested in all have 2 dates in the format of, let's see, what are the formats of these dates? I think it is month, month, day, day, year, year. And also contain $2 amounts, e.g. a decimal followed by 2 digits. And I'll just say 1 or more digits than a decimal followed by 2 digits. Please write the regex that will capture those detail line items for this for the text. Let's see if it remembers what I'm talking about. This is the chat's supposed to remember what we talked about previously. So we're going to see if it remembers what we're referring to. And we'll test it out. And what I should probably do is like a follow-up. Maybe I'll ask it to create a named tuple that will extract them. So basically kind of setting it up to create the columns that I want. So let's see if this works first and see if it gives us the lines that we need, and that'll be cool. And then I'll have it extract them into the name tuple. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. Okay, copy code. And let's go back down. We already have the vendor number and vendor names. Now let's see if it gives us the other stuff we need. It did not. It did not. So I'm going to say that did not result in any matches. Please rewrite so it matches several lines as described in, and then I'm going to give it the text again just so it like kind of remembers like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. And we've been to give an example. So this is the text. Actually, I'm just gonna send it, see what it does. Is it gonna work? I don't know. I do appreciate that it explains the breakdown of the regular expression, which I think is really cool. So if anybody is like trying to learn regular expressions for the first time, that's kind of cool. All right, so I think we're getting stuck here. This has happened to me before, where it just kind of like runs out of brain power and it's just like, can't finish. So I'm just going to kind of reset the thread and just say, you know, I'm trying to, I would like to have Python code that captures lines in the following text that include 2 dates, format, month, date, a year, and $2 amounts, formats, 1 or more digit, a decimal, and 2 digits. I want to output a list of named tuples that include, and I'm going to give it the names that I used previously. That's going to include vendor name, or sorry, not vendor name, because that's going to happen later. Invoice date, due date, invoice amount, net amount, and description. Please ignore lines that do not match the capture criteria, and ignore data in the lines that do not fit into the named tuple pieces. Not sure how to say that. Here's the text. And I don't want it to spit the text back. I'll say which is already included as a long string in the variable text. And let's see if this works. So I'm going to grab this text again just to be safe. Scroll up, capture this, scroll down, and spit it out into here and see if it's able to figure this out. So, I mean, I'm stoked about the first part. I think that's pretty awesome. Not surprised it was getting hung up a little bit here because it does get a little more complex, and I had to finagle it a little bit when I did it, by hand. So it'll be fun to see if it can come up with something. I'm not sure if it will, because the problem is some of these lines are not very consistent with each other. Like, look, this one, I want to capture it, but it starts with something different. This one starts with auto, and I want it, but it's probably not going to catch it because this pattern is looking for 2 digits here. So anyways, it's the date format that it's looking for is not correct either. So yeah, this is probably not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this out. If it fails, I'm going to say, all right, here's an example of the line I'm trying to capture. Yeah, invoice data is nothing, not going to work. So I'm going to say that returned an empty list to capture a few lines such as, and then I'm going to give an example of one of the lines such as, and I'll do one of the auto ones because I want to make sure that it knows that some of the lines have auto at the beginning. Well, let's see if it can fix it. Let's see if it fixes it. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's like the pattern I gave you only matches lines that have 2 dates in the format, blah, 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 followed by 2 dollar amounts, and it put the dollar sign. So it's like, oh, but the lines you provided don't match that pattern. So I really like that I gave it examples. Still not perfect because the dates I don't think are going to work. So it's not super smart. So let's try again and see if it gives us anything different. I really don't think it's going to give us anything different. Yeah, that's still blank. The result is still a blank list. Could it be because the pattern is looking for slash symbols and the dates, but the dates are in format of just 6 digits. Also, one line has the word auto at the beginning. Actually, that might be fine because that's not looking for the beginning of it. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So kind of giving it a hint, like, hey, hint, I noticed there's an error in the way that you coded your dates. And it says, yes, that's correct. Okay, cool. So this changed it a little bit where it doesn't have those slashes. So that's kind of funny. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm looking for this, but the dates you provided are just 6 digits. So let's see if this works. This is fun. I really feel like I'm working with like somebody who's still kind of a beginner in Python, maybe intermediate, but like not perfect. They need a reviewer like somebody like me. And Gosh, let's see if this works. It'd be really cool if it did. Ah, it gave us an error. But with progress, we got something. We got something. Let's see what happens if I say we have an error. Can you fix it? Can you fix it? What's it gonna be? The error is because the regex captures 10 groups, but the tuple expects only 5 fields. Ah, yeah, of course. Come on, you know better than that. So you can either modify the regex, capture fewer groups, or you can modify invoice data to have more fields. Let's see what it decided to do. It looks like it's capturing less. I don't think it's going to work still, but let's try it. Copy. It doesn't look like it's any different. Yeah, that's... it didn't fix it. Oh. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong code. This is new code here. No, still didn't work. It's missing 2 required positional arguments, net amount and net $sign. So, yeah, not perfect. Let's give it one more shot. See if I can fix it. New error. With it, word error spelled wrong. Yeah, of course. So, can you fix it now? Probably not. Yeah, I think, again, we're dealing with an issue where the invoice $sign. Why are you grabbing invoice $sign? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's what's weird is it keeps looking for a $sign because I told it that there's a dollar amount, but there's not actually a $sign in here. It's just like the number amounts with a decimal. So I think that's probably the problem. So we'll try one more time and then call it quits if it doesn't work. I don't think it's going to work. Ooh, interesting. What? This looks silly. Oh, and this is actually silly too, like invoice month, invoice day, invoice year. That's not exactly what we would want, but still kind of cool. But what do we get here? How many records do we have? Okay, interesting. We definitely didn't. It's an interesting way to create it. Obviously, we don't have an invoice $sign. Let's see if this gives us some useful data. It doesn't include all the rows I would expect. So invoice data, we got month, day, year, 8/23/22. Where even is that? Okay, way down here, 8/23/22. And do, let's see, amount 205, 205. I'm guessing that's the one I was looking at. No, 205. Where is the 205? What are you grabbing, buddy? Well, anyways, this is cool. Oh, here it is, 8/23/22. 205, 205. Ah, it's the P's. It's the P's. So for some reason, the P's are throwing it off. So I'm going to say progress, but it looks like you missed capturing data in any of the rows that have a P between the invoice amount and the net amount. I would like to capture those as well. Also, please revise the output to have invoice date as a date time and due date as a date time. So curious to see if this fixes it, because that's kind of cool that we got some good progress so far. Hopefully it's going to say, okay, yeah, optional P, that's great. And I give it 2 things. So I'm going to see if it can convert the dates. and then we'll see what this gives us. But this is awesome. Like it's actually giving us stuff that we're able to work with. We have to give it like a little bit of feedback and a little bit of fixing, but like note that I'm not really doing any coding here. I'm just reading the outputs. I'm kind of playing with it a little bit and then giving it back. So let's actually write new code down here. Parse the data. Oh, it didn't finish it. Why didn't you finish the code? Finish the code. Well, let's see. Parse the data. I'm just going to say go on. See if it'll give us the rest. Okay, there it is. That was really weird. Yeah, it's done that before where it just kind of stops. And of course now it's like not in the right format. Okay, there, the rest of that's in the right format. Oh, that's weird. All right, so let's grab this. And that needs to be there. And then create the name tuple. And print the list of name tuples. And then let's do, actually, you know what? I'm going to put this in a data frame. Data frame, invoice data, and then, oops, df. Oh, this is going to work? Oh my gosh. Wow. We got one line. It's not as much as I was hoping, but it gave us an invoice date, a due date, and date time format. Gave us an invoice amount, a net amount. It only gave us one line, but hey, I call this progress. We have taught an AI and convinced it to get us data in a data frame format with just a teeny bit of finagling for data from a PDF file. Again, we're missing the rest of the line items. Maybe we'll figure that one out next. But hey, I think this is pretty awesome. So hope you enjoyed this. I hope this encourages you to get really excited about using AI, specifically using the chat GPT to write Python code. Because honestly, I think this is the future of like accounting and Python converging, where we're able to use something like ChatGPT to write the code for us. Now, I think it's still going to be helpful to learn Python and to know Python because, you know, some of the stuff I'm doing here and fixing is not as intuitive as it would be for somebody who doesn't know any Python, but it takes away a lot of the stuff that you might have to learn to manually do throughout time. It can really, really speed up amount of time to learn this stuff and get good at it. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Feel free to ping me with any questions or suggestions you have as we dive more into using ChatGPT. But seriously, I think we're just scratching the surface here. I think there's a lot more to be done. I think there's a lot more I have to learn about how to negotiate with it, how to communicate with it so it gives me the outputs that I'm looking for. Because I know it's capable of it. I think a lot of it is, they still have a lot to learn on their end, but I think there's a lot more I can learn on my end as to how to ask for it correctly. So if you like this, please like my video. And if you want to see more like this, subscribe. This is the Pythonic Accountant. Over and out. Later.